Is this Robert?
Yes.
Hey. So I went in to inspect the public records index at the Child Support Enforcement Agency, as I think I told you guys that I was going to do. And they're telling me that that's something I have to do at the courthouse, but we both know that according to the statutes, they have to do it here. Good morning.
What are you looking for exactly?
I'm looking to inspect the public records index.
Public records index. Probably the courts, maybe?
No.
Somebody to look for court documents?
Well, you're the state agency, so it's
Yeah, but
your responsibility. Right, but I understand, but it's your responsibility to allow me to inspect it. So I'm supposed to be able to walk in here and simply get, oh yeah,
Oh, no.
I'm on with the Office of Information Practices.
Okay, but
Right,
no.
and they know the
Our-
law. See,
Our information is confidential.
See-
We can't just hand over things to you.
Robert, you see the roadblock we're coming into here?
Yeah. If you wanna talk to our legal staff, you can go out over to our legal office.
Do you see Robert? ID,
Why are you taking videos of this, may I ask?
because this is a public place.
It's a public place and you don't wanna furnish me your ID while I'm speaking it.
You're a public servant.
And,
I'm not.
but you are requesting for something.
Right, but you understand that according to the statutes,
No.
well, see, Robert,
I want
this
you
is
to
the
fill
issue
this
that I'm
out,
having. She
and I wanna
interrupts.
see your picture ID.
I'm attempting to explain to her the statute, and she interrupts and says no, before I can let her know that per the statutes, we are not required to give ID.
If you want my help, I want you to turn it off.
Well, this is why we're doing it.
That's against the law, to require us to turn off the cameras.
Hold on.
See, these are the roadblocks, Robert, that people are facing when they try to do public records requests. And this has been going on for at least 10 years. And so all of these people should have been educated by now, right? It shouldn't be that we get roadblocks when we come in to request records or request to inspect the public records index. And I actually can't believe that we're still having this conversation 10 years later. Hi, how's it going?
Pretty good. Can I do anything to help you?
Yeah, first, I have several things, but first I'm here to inspect the public records report.
Inspect the public records report.
Yep.
Okay. I believe that we had some communication from our administration office
Okay.
about you coming, and there was some anticipation that you were going to make a payment as a down payment toward that public records report.
No, that was a public records request that I submitted, but I'm going to actually abandon that one and submit a different one today. The public records report is a report that you already have maintained. You should have filed it with the OIP each year, so you have a copy of it. And that's one of the public records according to statute, which is available for inspection upon request. So there's no formal request that needs to be made for it.
When you say request for report?
Yeah, no, I don't think that we do have that available here for that. But if you want to submit some kind of written request, we can send it up to our administration.
Okay, so it's disappointing because about 5-6 weeks ago, I came in to request this, and you're required to have it available for public inspection according to the statute. So now,
But at every branch?
at every state agency is required to have a public
But
records
our
report.
agency has different branches, and I'm not sure we have the same things at every branch.
Yeah, you should. Anybody at whichever agency, at whichever branch of the agency that the public can come to, should have this available for public inspection. And at this point, I've established that now you're knowingly in violation because I communicated the requirements to you already, and now you've been given about 5 or 6 weeks to do it, and now you don't have it.
Well, you said that you were going to come in a week ago last Monday or something and bring in some money for this other thing. So we were all ready for that.
Correct, but you weren't prepared for. Well, I also let Brandon Flores know that I would be coming in to inspect the public records report, and
As
yeah,
part of
I
that
did.
communication?
In part
setting
of our
up that.
communication, yeah, and that's not a public records request, because that is something that anybody in public should be able to come in and inspect during regular business hours. In fact, at this point, I would ask you, since you are required to allow your public records to be available for inspection during normal business hours, what public records do you have on the site that I can inspect today?
I'd be happy to help with anything that we do in our normal course of business. Anything that, that's what I'm here for, is to help the public.
Okay.
So I don't have people coming in here asking to inspect public records reports, so I don't know where any public records reports are. If there's something about your case that you want to know, I get questions about that all the time, and I'm happy to share you anything or help you with a case. You know.
Yeah, we may get to that, but what I'm trying to establish is, because I make sure that agencies such as this are in compliance with the codes that they are supposedly bound to, and
Sounds like a valuable service.
yeah, and I point out anytime an agency is trying to avoid transparency or trying to not comply with the codes. And one of my concerns with this agency is that when I asked about the public records report last time, one of the lawyers that work here got on the phone and he's like, "What's that?" And that's very disturbing. And then he wanted to play games and treat me rudely, and they haven't really taken seriously that you are required by statute to have the public records report available for public inspection. A lot of states call it the Public Records Index. Here they specifically in the statutes call it the Public Records Report.
Well, I wouldn't hide something from you. If I had something that was available to the public that was some kind, I don't even know what would be on that public records report, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the title of the public records that you guys do keep. It's supposed to facilitate public records requests so that we don't have a lot of miscommunication, so I can...
Well, just to talk it out, because maybe there is something that I can give you. What kind of things would you think would be on this report that you would want to look at?
It would have memorandums regarding policy changes, updates. It would have what you call different types of reports. So, you know, where one agency may call a type of report, you know, X, you might call it Y, and so when I'm doing a public records request, it lets me know, okay, I need to call it Y in this case. So it'll have things like that, and it should be a notebook that's updated every year, and you are required by statute to file it every year before July, I believe, with the Office of Information Practices. So if you don't even have it on this site, you know, here, how can I know that you filed it with Office of Information Practices? You guys have it online, RSS, I believe you call it. But you should also have a physical copy, because people shouldn't be expected to go online.
Oh, how you guys doing it? So you check.
Well,
Okay.
if it's something that's online that's available to the public, I'd be happy to print it out and give you a physical copy.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah, or allow me to use a computer or device that has access to it. But yeah,
So can we?
Okay, well, let me see what I've got right here.
generally what happens when these types of audits are done is, you know, if I came 6 weeks ago and let them know, then typically they'll scramble so that next time I come in, here you are, here it is. We got in compliance, right?
Oh, we don't. Okay. So like we. Okay.
You can send them for, you have coupons for every case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
But
can
they're all
attach-
just saying like PIN number.
Yeah, this is, it's the
Oh.
phone number of the people here.
Okay.
It will be amongst all of these cases.
Oh, okay. But I can pay with card
You can pay with card or you can come back,
with the.
but you're gonna have to pay the interest.
Oh, you can pay with card.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, money right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let me
Yeah.
show you. Yeah.
So the thing that you're referencing is something for our division in particular, huh? Not
It's-
just for the department?
It's for every state agency, so every physical location that the public can access should have this.
But you're not talking particularly about the whole Department of the Attorney General, just the Child Support Division.
Yeah, this specific agency, yeah. Is this also tied to the Attorney General? Because it was my understanding they were on Kinooli.
Oh, the Child Support Enforcement Agency is under the auspices of the Department of the Attorney General.
Oh, okay.
So it's the State Department.
Do you know my name?
I believe I do.
What is it?
Well, I think your name is Robert Estabrook.
Okay. Would you have gotten that by email or phone conversation?
I think maybe my supervisor might have gotten it by email or phone and
Okay.
just kind of conveyed to me to, last week or whenever it was that you were going to come in, just to watch for you and to let her know when you came in, kind of thing,
Okay.
so that she could give you what you'd been working on with Brandon or be there to help with the Brandon thing.
Okay, so I'm probably going to be asking for some names to do a public records request because I want to make sure I get those emails.
That was the piece.
Um, So, let's see.
And then on the memo section of the
Can we shorten it? We can
Yeah.
just write
Yes,
CS.
it's CSE.
Okay.
So on the memo portion of your.
So this thing you were calling RSS,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
um, you say you're aware that that might be online somewhere?
yeah.
I believe that's what they're calling it.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a online database because that's the reason you file it with the OIP is so that they oversee this online database that the public is supposed to be able to access online. But there's an issue to that. We can't be moving everything to online only. You have to be able to serve people who don't have internet access and whatnot. And there's been a lot of situations where people come in asking for the physical thing, and people in your position are very rude to them and say, well, we have that online and I'm not going to help you, which is unacceptable behavior, obviously.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Yeah, but mostly we have people come in and ask for things related to their cases.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's education. You guys are probably 1993, so you're probably about 22 years out of compliance. Or 20, I guess that's 24 years? I don't know. I can't do math right now.
That's fine. All right, well, without a couple more clues, I'm not sure I can find the thing that you're thinking of for me to print out.
Okay.
It's a public information report.
Public records report.
Public records
You can
report.
look up, let's see, Hawaii Revised Statute. If you look up this Hawaii Revised Statute, and if you actually look up section B and C, then you'll see the part where you're supposed to submit it to the OIP. And
That would almost certainly happen in our administration office in Oahu.
Mhm. Well, so they're trying to indicate that because of section C, they say you have to go to OIP to get the record, but if you filed it with them, then you also have the record. So it should be available for public inspection. And it could be a matter of call the right person, call who you need to call, I imagine there's a reasonable time that I can wait to inspect it, but you should be able to acquire it.
Okay. Well, let me see if there's somebody I can call who knows more about it.
Are you done?
Yeah,
Okay. How was it slow?
yeah.
Oh. I'll look and see what we can find. Thank you. Hi, are you guys all together?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Hi, Charles. Is Kiki 7 down? Oh, it gave me, I tried to log in and then it gave me that binder sheet looking page. Oh, 3 times. I'm in 8 though. Oh. 8 is okay though. Oh, 3 to 1. Oh, okay. It came back. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, have a good one. Wait. Good afternoon. How's it going? Yeah. Oh, hi. What happened? No. Oh, okay. But you coming back? You okay? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, bye, drive safe. Okay, bye.
Thanks for your patience and waiting. Sorry to keep you.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yeah.
I did just talk to Mr. Flores.
Yeah, he's incorrect in whatever information he gave you, but let's hear it.
Well, I guess the first thing to say is just that Brandon says that there is no log like that here. And so,
Do you have the internet?
do I have the internet? Yes, I have the internet.
Okay. Do you mind pulling up this code?
Oh, you're just going payment? No. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh.
My son says he's trying to buy a house. I know they take it out of his contract, but somewhere along the line, in the 7 years, he owed $500. So they asked for needs,
Where's your son? He live here.
Yeah.
And Hilo.
he live in Hilo, but he
Tell him to come.
every day in Kona. So
Yeah,
he needs
well,
a-
you know, we have an office, we have an office in Kona, so
Mhm.
there's a couple things that he can do. Usually what ends up happening, just general questions and inquiries, so, what he can do is he can usually, if he's in a process of escrow,
Yeah.
escrow will send us a D9 letter. That's the only way.
Okay, so I'm looking at
But the best thing for you to
92F11.
do is to come
And then go to section B.
So our
Alright.
office is open 7:45 to 4:30 Monday
Oh,
to Friday,
Yeah.
except for holidays. And then just bring like a valid picture ID, and we can process it. We can try and process it, like as he's sitting there.
Oh, okay.
I like to do
Yeah,
it
cause
that
his
way.
closing date is Friday.
So there's a,
And I guess it
Oh.
just came out,
Um,
that he had a $500, I guess somewhere in the
He's gonna
7
have to
years.
contact us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna have to, the best way.
so 92F11 has an exception in 92F13, yeah?
That's in process.
And which exception is that?
It's already next week.
Mhm.
It still gives us
Well,
some
it just
time.
says,
Yeah, so we're
um,
doing it. Oh, okay.
in 92F11B that you refer me to, it says except as provided in section 92F13.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
And so I went to take a look at
Oh,
F13, and
Yeah.
it has a bunch of exceptions to the general rule.
Right.
Saying the part shall not require the disclosure of various things like,
Yeah, but public records doesn't fall under an exception. And then also, if you look at, I meant to probably write down 18B instead of 11B. This is applicable because this shows that you have to have those public records available because public records don't fall under an exception. Public records are public, so they don't fall under an exception.
I mean, that
Public public records that you're
in
required
that
to
statute,
maintain.
it specifies several exceptions, but
Right, that's if a public records request is made, but public records that you're supposed to have available for inspection do not fall under an exception. Those are available to anybody who comes in and asks. You can't accept a record that is by statute supposed to be available for public inspection, as you'll see if you look at 18B.
okay, so here's 18.
and then he'll come back till 2:30 usually, and then drive home.
Okay, each agency will compile a public report describing the records it routinely uses or maintains using forms prescribed by the Office of Information Practices.
But he works construction, but they drive.
Yeah, and then like you were asking, all of those numbered items are what it'll look like,
Yeah.
because those are the things that are in it.
So,
So he just gotta take the
the
day off.
fastest, easiest way is to
Okay,
probably take half day off.
so I see kind of what you're looking at
It'll
there.
take about 15 minutes. At the
And then go
most,
ahead and look at C, section C.
physically be here.
Yeah.
We just need stuff from him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, maybe a day off.
'Cause he
but
came-
day or something.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't look like you're crazy and asking for this. It looks like stuff that, you're reading the statute and,
Right. I am reading the statute, and I've recognized that Brandon Flores is not. I wrote him a response laying it out legally. Couple emails later, he tried saying the exact same thing he had said. So I said, well, at this point, you're making it circular. I need a response to what I'm saying, and I wrote it out again, and he hasn't responded to that. And now he's giving you false information. And I'll add that he is establishing that he is knowingly doing this. According to Hawaii statutes, he's knowingly violating the statutes because he has been made aware of the arguments and the statutes and the law.
he described that he had an idea, he said to me, of what you were maybe thinking of. There is a sort of a log that they keep public records requests in. That was the closest thing he could think of to what you were talking about. But he says that log's not maintained at this branch. But he says if you've abandoned the previous request and you want to make a new request, that he's happy to look at any request that you want to make in writing.
Yeah, so specifically what I'm looking for is each of those numbered things. You would have the name and location of each set of records, the authority under which the records are maintained, the categories of individuals for whom records are maintained, the categories of information or data maintained in the records, et cetera, and so on. So I'm not just looking for a binder of the records requests that have been made. I'm looking for the public records report in order to help facilitate requests, because obviously Brandon has had some trouble interpreting my request that I've made, and that's why we're at this issue where he's also
Let me I'll write down this statute here and pass it to him.
yeah, make sure you see it, and I'll tell you what his argument will be already. He'll say that because
That fax number, 808, this number here.
he'll say that because of section C that I have to ask the OIP for this public records report. But that's not accurate, because when you jump to 92F11B.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Aaron, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Yeah. Were you
I don't know why you
gonna-
interrupted, but
No, sorry. Were you here for the payment?
no, I'm not gonna make a payment on that.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm gonna do a separate public records request, because one thing that I noticed that Brandon did is, for the first request, he set an amount of the estimated cost of what it would be based upon requesting 2 years worth of emails, right? So that's an amount of work. And so he set that amount at, what was it? $1,090, right? So then when I abandoned that request and made a second one, and I asked for 6 months of emails, he only lowered the amount by $30, right? So 75% decrease in the amount of work, but he only lowered the amount by $30.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's something you would discuss with Brandon?
Well, that's something that I'm going to get. That's one of the requests that I'm going to make on my new request, is how the procedure which he used to establish the mathematics behind it. Because I believe that what he was doing was saying, okay, well, it was this amount and you weren't willing to pay it, and you asked for a lot less work, so I'm just going to make it $30 less, and basically F you to me, right? So that's what it seems like happened. And so I want to establish that he's knowingly doing these things.
Okay.
And I also want to point out that about when I was here the first time, I informed you of the codes which requires you to have the public records report accessible during normal business hours.
Yeah.
And hold on, you have a tendency to interrupt,
Okay,
and I'm making a point. I informed you of the codes which require you to have this document available for public inspection, and I came today to ask for it, and it's still not being done. So now, according to the Hawaii Revised Statutes, I've established that you are knowingly violating the statutes at this point.
You go talk to Brandon about that. He did explain to you that you're mistaken about that because it's stored at a different location.
You can't.
We're not going to get into that. You
Yeah.
need to discuss it
So
with Brandon.
right. But what he did is, the last time I emailed him, he did not respond to the things that were said.
Yeah,
Right.
so you need to
hold on
speak with
to the law that was cited, and I'll let you know, it's not your responsibility to abdicate responsibility to follow the law to Brandon Flores. It is your responsibility to actually study the code and not just follow instruction from somebody who is misinformed about the code. So you have knowingly violated the statutes. I am not incorrect. It is Brandon that is incorrect. And I'm working on the story now to make sure that the public knows that this is an issue with this office. So the internet is going to know.
If there's any kind of child support related stuff we can help you with, we do that all day long, and we really like helping people. I don't know what it is that, the things that you're asking for just aren't part of our daily.
But you read the
Practice.
statute, right? And now I'm going to point out something, right? The way you're using words, the way you're communicating has altered since Karen is here, and she has told you that Brandon has said that I am incorrect. So now the word patterns and the way you're speaking has altered to where before you saw on the statute what it was saying, you saw what I was requesting, right? But now you seem to be indicating as though that's not important. And again, as a public servant, it is also your responsibility to ensure compliance with the statutes and not just abdicate that responsibility to a supervisor.
Okay, so your purpose today is, because the reason for your visit here from our Mr. Brandon was that you would make payment. You're not here to make payment, so what's your purpose?
So
for today?
the first thing that I'm doing is establishing that now you are knowingly in violation of the statutes, which I have.
What we can do is we can lead you to our legal department. Do you want to go to their department?
I don't want to get the runaround. I just want you guys
I'm
to
not
be in
giving you the
compliance.
runaround, but they would be more, our legal arm would have better guidance for you perhaps.
Okay, and all my concern with that is last time you had a lawyer call me,
Yeah,
and
that's where he's at.
and he was like, "What's the public records report?"
That's where he's at.
Right, but you see the problem? He's like, "What's the public records
Mm-hmm.
report?" He didn't even know what I was talking about, even though it's defined in the statute. Have you read this statute? Have you read 92F 18 section
No,
B?
that's why we have a legal section.
So you haven't
that
read it
helps us
yourself.
with these things.
So you haven't read it yourself. So
No.
so you're attempting to abdicate your responsibility
We are
to
here-
follow the code.
we
I'm
are
sorry. I'm
here-
sorry.
To service child support issue matters.
Right. So I don't interrupt you. So please do not interrupt me. Okay? So it is your responsibility also to comply with the codes and not abdicate that responsibility to somebody else. So you should familiarize yourself with the codes, because 6 weeks after asking for it the first time and it still hasn't been done, that's not acceptable. So
So who do you want to speak to?
I don't.
Brandon is the one
All that I
doing
want.
this request.
All that I want is to inspect the public records
There
report.
is no public records here to inspect.
Right, and that's unacceptable because you are required to have it.
We don't have any public records here to inspect.
You are required.
We are here for child support matters.
Right, and you are a state agency, correct? Right. So
But we don't
why
have,
under 92F 18 section B, each agency, and I'll note that you're federal, you're not a state agency, correct? Or are you?
we are
You're a state agency? Okay. Each agency shall compile a public report describing the records it routinely uses or maintains using forms prescribed by the Office of Information Practices. Each agency. This is an agency, correct?
Right.
So what part of each are we not hearing?
I
We
think
do-
you should talk to some
Right.
public inspectors, talk to the Office of Information Practices.
I
and
have.
see- Well, I mean, but get them to enforce on us. Somebody with authority to enforce on us can come and talk to us about the rules as they're
Well,
supposed to be enforced.
Right, I think the internet has authority over you guys. I think when the internet finds out that you're not in compliance with the codes, I think that you'll see the effect that the internet can have.
We'll have to prepare ourselves for that.
So the next thing that I have a question of is when somebody calls the customer service line and they escalate to request a supervisor, what is your policy regarding the time frame in which a supervisor is supposed to call the individual back? I believe your policy states it's 48 hours. Can I confirm that?
It's approximately 48 hours, but it depends if the supervisor is in.
Okay, so is there ever a time where the 48 hours would reasonably be converted to whatever, say, 30 times 24 is? I believe 7,200 hours. Would that ever be a adequate amount of time?
What do you mean?
Meaning, I requested a supervisor on 2 occasions, and I was told a supervisor will be contacting you within 48 hours, and it has not happened yet. So I want the policy.
So you have a case with us then?
You already know I do. You already know what my name is,
Okay.
right?
And I believe
Was I
the other
incorrect?
office did leave numbers, a message for you at the number that was provided. Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. I guarantee they didn't.
They did.
And I'll tell you why I know that. Because the very first time, they wrote down a different last number.
Right.
And when that lawyer called me, he spoke a different last number. right? So I called a second time to say, okay, here's the proper phone number. I would still like to talk to a supervisor, and I have been watching all of my messages, I have been watching all of my calls, and I have seen nothing.
Since that second call?
Right.
Is there something we can help you with now? Is there a child support matter we can help you with now?
What's your name?
My name's Nathan.
Nathan what?
It's Nathan Leopold.
Okay, well, I can get that person on the phone if you want to speak with them about the case.
What I want to speak to is about Annette. I'm attempting to make a complaint about Annette.
Annette?
Mm-hmm. When you call 808-933-8802, she's one of the customer service reps.
8802. That number there, the 8802?
Yeah.
That doesn't get to us actually. Try. It'll ring and ring and ring forever. It used to be our number.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Maybe I wrote down the... No, that's...
It might be a Google number, but we're trying to get that out because it doesn't reach us.
Let's see.
We definitely do our best to try and handle all the customer
Yes.
service issues that we can, and we'd be happy to do that for you too, or anybody that calls. You know,
Well, the issue I'm having is she refused to take a public records request verbally over the phone like she is obligated to. And she said, quote, "I don't work for you." Now, it's my understanding that all of you are public servants, and it's also my understanding that you consider me a public person. In fact, I would argue that perhaps I'm operating in public capacity at this moment. So that would mean that you do work for me. And we will get to your guys' tendency to confuse public with private to assume to have authority over people in a moment.
So in order to help you with the case, we'd probably need to see some photo ID. Just to make sure we're not sharing your private details with somebody else.
Yeah, so now it's just ringing. It used to answer, and a woman named Annette used to answer. She's in the Honolulu office. So what is the current customer service number?
Yeah, you must have called our real customer service number.
It was over a month ago, so.
No, yeah, that number hasn't been. So where's it? Front, yeah. No, maybe just on the front. Okay. Voice response, customer service, 808-207-9915.
Okay.
That's the customer service. Let me just double check with
Child Support Enforcement Agency Automated Information System. This automated system is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Information is current as of March 11, 2025. We remind all custodial parents that payments are now distributed electronically to your bank account or through a debit card issued by the U.S. Bank. If you have questions about this, please visit our website or speak with a customer service representative. If you are a first-time user and need instructions for using the system, say instructions or press 1. For account and payment information, say account or press 2. For general information, say general information or press 3. If you are an attorney, employer, or out-of-state agency, say special contact or press 4. To speak with a representative about any other information at any time, say representative or press 0. To repeat these, please hold. Your call is being transferred. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. The estimated hold time for the next representative is approximately 4 minutes. All agents are on another call. Please stay on the line for the next available agent. Your call may be recorded for
You need
quality
to sign for
assurance
something?
purposes.
Yeah.
I'm here at the last window.
Good afternoon, this is Janet. How can I help you?
Hey Janet, is this the office in Honolulu?
Actually, we're in Kapolei.
Oh, Kapolea, okay. What's the phone number for the office in Honolulu?
We don't have one. This is the child support office.
Oh, this is the only one where you do customer service?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Okay, and do
We're located in Kapolei, on Oahu though.
oh, okay. So you have an employee who does customer service named Annette?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know.
yeah.
Yeah, I need you. Have a good one. Hi, this is Nathan. Just a moment, let me see if she's available. Who should I say is calling? Very good. One moment, please. Hi, I have a Rayson Martinez asking for you. Put him through. Sure. You wanna make a written complaint about Annette?
Yes.
Sounds like a reasonable thing to do. We have a form, or I can give you a piece of blank paper if you wanna just execute a blank.
Will that form, I don't think that form will work, so probably a blank piece of paper.
Sure.
Yeah, oops, sorry. So I'm gonna write it from memory, but I have the call
I'm sure
recorded.
you can get to the essence of it, and I think that the essence of it, is pretty relevant and effective. It's something that should be explained to her.
Yeah. And I'll assume that you guys have the dates as a matter of record in your phone system. You record calls, correct?
I don't know if they're recorded, but probably usually people take notes after a phone call, so probably there's notes
Okay.
on the case.
Okay.
Yeah. You done?
Mm-hmm. Why?
You ready with that complete? Want me to take that?
Yeah, and can I get a stamp receipt copy?
Sure. Get a copy of this and then date and time stamped it there.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
The next question is, what is the policy regarding customer service needing a PIN and then mailing the PIN to the associated address when somebody requests it?
Okay. The idea of the PIN and access code is that it's a way for us to positively identify someone with a child support case to make sure that we're not giving a person's personal private information to the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, someone would present with a photo ID, and then we could give them the PIN and access code that they could use later, because we have to verify the identity of the person before, the PIN and access code itself is kind of a strong form of identification.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're trying to preserve its strength so that it's not easy for, say, we deal with a lot of like divorce cases where people are, at least in that moment, pretty in a place of like enmity toward each other. So we want to make sure that one participant does not gain access to the other participant's private information. So it's a little bit of a complicated thing sometimes when somebody's over the phone and maybe out of state where they can't walk in and show a photo ID. Then generally we would take a signed and dated letter requesting the PIN and access code.
Okay. Well, over the phone, I was told that they would mail it to my address by Annette, and she never mailed it. I haven't received it. So it's like your office, between Brandon dragging his feet regarding these record requests, between the games that are being played with me, and it's all making it so I would like to make a payment today. Can I do that? Or is all of your dragging of the feet causing me to not be able to make a payment while you're attempting to issue orders to try and force me to?
Sorry, was that an example or was that a specific request?
Oh, it is a request.
Okay.
I would love to be able to make a payment
I'm
today.
not mocking you or anything else. I'm just clarifying, because I understand what you're saying. I do accept that people who work for the state serve the public and that you're a member of the public. And, I don't think there's any reason for us to try and obfuscate or make things difficult. And I think it's brave and good that you're trying to, see that laws are applied fairly and justly and interpreted according to, rational thought as much as they can be.
And especially logic, as I'm about to exhibit, and I'm sorry to predict the future, but you're going to get upset too with the question that I ask, because you're going to misapply logic,
Okay.
right? So
Did you want to deal with the payment thing? Because I wasn't trying to get away from that payment question. We just haven't quite addressed it directly yet.
Yeah, so there's one of two things that I need in order to be able to make a payment. I either need the factual evidence that I am obligated to obey any of the orders of the people who are issuing orders in this situation. Okay, that's A. Or B, I need the threat of violence. So if you don't pay, then this is what will happen to you, regardless of whether or not we have the factual evidence. So when I asked for factual evidence, they said they would mail me factual evidence. This is what they mailed me. These pieces of paper. Okay? So I'm humbly asking you, please circle the factual evidence on these pieces of paper that will prove that I have an obligation to obey any of the orders on these pieces of paper.
Okay. So it's a interesting part of living in the world that we're living in this country, that a judge can sign an order on a piece of paper and file it at court, and then that piece of paper has the force of law in effect. Maybe not natural law, maybe not human law, but in effect, in the sense that it tends to be enforced by credit unions, credit agencies, police, things like that. So
just to clarify, I get what you're saying. So just to clarify, we're normalizing slavery then, correct?
it's an interesting question. I could certainly understand an argument. I mean, you know, I don't think we've quite, it's a jump in the present conversation, but I think it wouldn't take too many jumps to get from here to there.
It's just logic, right? There's no, it's all their legal opinions. You can't, to say that the code applies because the code says it applies, which is going to be your jump. We have these codes which say they apply to you, right? Well, that's called circular reasoning. That's a logical fallacy.
What I mostly like to try and help people with here is just kind of understanding how the system works, because it shouldn't be so arcane and complicated that a regular person coming off the street can't understand it, feels lost, feels, you know, abused or intimidated, and doesn't know how to make choices and move forward through this process, right? Mm-hmm. So I try to demystify as much as I can how the process works, in the sense of, you know, what are my options? What should I expect? If I do this, then what should I expect to happen? Or if I want to do this, what are the steps I need to take to get this done in the context of a child support case? Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, to try and give some suggestion of, in my experience, how the legal system works with respect to child support to help people make, you know, good choices. Because it's one thing to talk about, you know, natural law or true justice or something like that, but
I'm not even talking about any of those things.
Well,
what I'm referring to is, you guys are making a claim that you have authority over me. I'm asking for facts that you do. It's that simple. I'm asking you to use facts to defend your claim that you have authority to force me to pay this money. Otherwise, absent that, simply let me hear the threat of violence from your lips.
Okay, well, I'm definitely not going to threaten you with violence.
Well, you have. Like this agency has, right? Because you have no factual evidence that I'm obligated to obey these orders from these judges. I never even had a chance to defend myself in court because you guys did improper service. And I would have been to the court date and defended this zealously, and I demand that opportunity.
Well, one thing to know is that there's a 30-day appeal window for anything that's filed at court. You know, around here, there's 30 days in which you can appeal this order by, you know, an appeal process that should be fairly accessible to you just through the family court. And I can walk you through some of how you might, you know, start with that so that you can get a hearing on this matter, you know, before it's, you know, after the 30 days, you'd have to start a whole new action about it. Mm-hmm. But within the 30 days, there is this, you know, window of appeal where you can, you know, obtain more or less fill in the blank kind of forms and, you know, request to appear without an attorney, which means, you know, generally on a day that these cases are being heard.
Isn't it funny though, these words that you're using? Mm-hmm. Request to appear without an attorney, as though I have to make that request, as though I don't have freedom, right? Are we normalizing slavery here again? And I'm just pointing out your word patterns to show that how embedded in this system you are.
I hear you.
And maybe you could take a close look at that.
I hear you, and it is I know what you mean about that.
So you know that this agency is threatening me with violence, because you cannot circle any factual evidence that I'm obligated to obey any of these judges' orders.
Well, the orders are predicated upon a certain understanding of the law.
And acceptance of slavery, right? Like if you have no factual evidence that the so-called, you're calling them laws, I call them Hawaii revised statutes, what's the HAR stand for? Something Hawaii
Administrative rules.
Right. Mm-hmm. So those are codes, right? I don't call them laws because I understand that an actual law is inviolable, right? Nobody could violate a law.
Well, that's what I mean about natural law, that kind of thing when you're talking about just pure philosophy. But
well, not
what I'm mostly
not
trying
philosophy.
to help you.
I'm talking about like inviolable. Like you can't.
Like the law of gravity.
Maybe you can't defy the law of gravity, right? So that would be a law. You're talking about codes, and I'm asking for facts that you have within your office, and maybe this should be part of the public records request. What facts do you have in your office that would prove that the HRSs, the HARs, and the Constitution apply to me just because I'm physically here?
Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody in this office ever really kind of defend things at that level.
I'm sorry. Here I am.
Well, no, I hear you.
I value freedom.
But this is what, and I appreciate that. It's good that people stand up for real freedom. But the best I can tell you is that, the way things work is that, this kind of paper does give creditors, it gives the legal system, it gives our agency the ability to, reach into your paycheck, reach into your bank account, and you can fight that, but you're going to be fighting it at a higher level than this office.
The ability or the willingness, right? Because a willingness to use violence is not evidence that you have the authority to, right? So I know we're going to get to the impasse here. I already know. So all I'm saying is issue the threat of violence. Tell me what's going to happen to me if I do not pay.
Well, if you do not pay, it'll become a debt that will accumulate, and it may interfere in the future when you go to, like, if you inherited property and then you tried to sell it, then the proceeds of that sale could be intercepted. If you thought you were eligible for a tax refund from the government, that tax refund could be intercepted. We don't tend to ever arrest people here over child support stuff. We definitely don't try to do anything that's physically violent to anybody in our office. You have a little different interpretation of the word violence.